Usually I'll take a cold open here and read a couple of headlines and a couple of other things that we're going to talk about throughout the day, but that's not what we're going to do today. Oops. First off, I'm going to turn my monitor down, but instead of just going with the cold open and reading headlines, we've got one headline that we're probably going to focus the majority of the show on here today, and I just wanted to remind you of one thing with everything else that we have going on right now. It seems that the GSA has started to move into certifying and moving with the transition team over with Biden. So, with that in mind, you have to remember something.
And by the way, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.
That man right now has a very, very high likelihood of having the nuclear football. And that should scare the shit out of everybody. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. We've got a bunch of stuff to get to today because it seems that about 6 hours ago, maybe 10 hours ago, possibly, the whole tone of everything shifted. And now it does look like this is going to end out in the way that we all thought it was going to begin with. But before we get started anything, I gotta go and make sure that I've got my DMs taken down over on the Twitter side, because we will be reading Twitter, and I don't want anybody to see what I've going on in my DMs over there. Nothing bad, just they requested their privacy, the group chat that I'm in, so I want to make sure that they get their privacy here. So let's get that back up and going, because we'll be reading Twitter trending at the end of the show here. But before we get into anything, head on over to freedomscoop.com. freedomscoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary needs. We carry great shows such as The Generational Gap, The Daily Ignoramus, The Red and Ed Show, Praise and Worship with Stephen Ignoramus, The R-Rated Conservative, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, and The Freckles and Brit Show. We carry all kinds of great programming here. Come on over there, check out some of our stuff, pick up some of our swag, and help us support great creators. All right, looking into the stocks here, looks like once they found out that the transition team was going to start going through, mysteriously the stock started going back up here again because, hey, we can't let Joe Biden come into a bad economy. I mean, he might not be able to blame that on Trump. So, as soon as they see it going over, they started switching it over and investing again, and now they want to make it look like this is going to be a great economy coming in, even though we're sure that the economy is going to crash, and Kamala and Joe are going to come up and say, oh, well, this is Trump's economy. Don't fucking worry about it. We'll fix it. We fix every fucking thing. So, as we go along with this, let's see what the investors have to say. From Investors Business Daily, Dow Jones Futures, latest Bitcoin play in buy zone as Tesla, Niro, Xpeng fly, Apple stock breaks support from Ed Carson. Dow Jones Futures and S&P 500 futures rose sharply Tuesday morning, while NASDAQ futures were up modestly as President Trump agreed to cooperate in the transition to Joe Biden. The stock market rally rose modestly on Monday amid fresh coronavirus vaccine news. Tesla stock, Niro, Xpeng Motors, Li Auto, and many other EV plays raced higher on Monday with further strong gains early Tuesday. PayPal flashed early buy signals as the digital payment stock has become the latest Bitcoin play and player. CrowdStrike, Twilio, and Novacure, which flashed similar buy signals late last week, continued to rally Monday after testing additional buy points. Finally, Apple stock had a bad session, falling through its 50-day line, continuing to lose ground versus the overall stock market. Apple, which boasts a 1.936 trillion market cap, is a member of the Dow Jones S&P 500 Index and NASDAQ Composite, which, let's make sure we get the decimal point in the right place. I mean, that's possibly how Joe Biden won, is getting a decimal point in the wrong place, adding a zero here and there, and hey, suddenly he's got 10,000 more votes. Let's just not look at any of this here. Early Tuesday, Best Buy, Analog, Anaplan, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Burlington stores reported better than expected earnings. Well, Dick's is probably getting... Wait, no, they're probably not getting because they stopped selling guns. I was going to say the Hunter bump, but they don't sell guns anymore because they're too good to sell guns. I forgot about that. Tesla, PayPal, and Novacure stock are on the IBD leaderboard. Novacure, Tesla, and CrowdStrike are on Swing Trader. PayPal stock is on the IBD long-term leaders. All right, we're going to hit that headline here in just a bit, so we'll skip on to the futures. On the futures, Dow rallied 1.1% above fair value. S&P 500 climbed 0.9%. NASDAQ rose 0.4%. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. Let's keep going here. From CNBC, Dow futures rise 300 points as Trump administration begins transition. This is from Fred Inbert and Yoon Lee. U.S. stock futures climbed early Tuesday in relief over the Trump administration's move to begin the transition process. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 308 points or 1%. S&P 500 futures gained 0.8%. NASDAQ 100 futures added 0.3%. The move higher in futures came after General Services Administration Chief Emily Murphy told President-elect Joe Biden that the Trump administration is making federal resources available for his transition into office. Trump tweeted that he approved of the move, but he will keep up the good fight, even as his re-election campaign has so far failed to win any legal victories that would invalidate votes for Biden. And yeah, they're saying it right up in there. Right there, they're saying it. The stocks are only going up because they think that Biden's going to be president. Which, once again, I do think that there is a lot of sentiment in big banking and big industry and a lot of people that have bent the knee for the Democrats over the past few years, whether it be for the Democrat Party itself, for the COVID response, or the St. George riots, for any of those three, that are now looking to make sure, even if they have to sell off at a loss, they're looking for any reason at all that they can to make sure that the economy stays good under Biden. So we'll see what happens off of this. We will see what's coming up in the next few months here. I don't know if Trump is out, but I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith that he can do anything here. And we'll see a little bit later that Austin Peterson might agree with me with that one here. Before we get into the news here, I got a submission from McConnell Smuggles Coke. How do you sleep supporting a murderer like Kyle Rittenhouse? And there it is, Mike Lindell on his MyPillow. Sleeping like a baby. I thought that was funny. I thought I enjoyed that, so I thought that you guys would enjoy that too. All right, let's keep going here. On the big news of the day, first on CNN, which is all that fucking means. Key government agency acknowledges Biden win and begins formal transition, from Kristen Holmes and Jeremy Herb. The General Services Administration has informed President-elect Joe Biden that the Trump administration is ready to begin the formal transition process, according to a letter from Administrator Emily Murphy sent Monday afternoon and obtained by CNN. Obtained. Yeah, there's nothing shady or coordinated going on here at all. The letter is the first step the administration has taken to acknowledge President Trump's defeat, more than 2 weeks after Biden was declared the winner by the media and not the FEC in the election. Murphy said she had not been pressured by the White House to delay the formal transition and did not make a decision out of fear of favoritism. Please know that I came to my decision independently based on the law and available facts, Murphy wrote. I was never directly or indirectly pressured by any executive branch official, including those who work at the White House or GSA. With regard to the substance or timing of my decision, to be clear, I did not receive any direction to delay my determination. The letter marks Murphy's formal sign-off on Biden's victory, a normally perfunctory process known as ascertainment. The move will allow the transition to officially begin, permitting the current administration of agency officials to coordinate with the incoming Biden team, providing millions in government funding for the transition. Yeah, they're providing millions for transitions, all right. Jeez. I understand that there's money that's involved. There are moving costs that have to be dealt with. Hiring, firing, other thing that goes with it. But why do they need to spend taxpayer money to do this? Why is this such an expensive process? Keep printing that fucking money. Keep running that money printer. Keep spending money. The Biden team has not waited for the formal transition process to begin preparing for the presidency, as Biden announced several cabinet picks on Monday that he's going to have a fun time getting through the Senate. But the delay in ascertainment means that Biden's team was locked out from government data and could not make contact with federal agencies. But they could make contact with foreign leaders. Logan Act, anybody? Nor could it spend $6.3 million in government funding now available for the transition. $6.3 million. Are you ever going to see $6.3 million ever in your life? Are you ever going to see that much money? Because I'm not. A Biden official said the most urgent need was for the transition to be given access to COVID-19 data and the vaccine distribution plans. And here he's going to come. He's going to be the hero. I bet you we get more vaccine candidates come up at this point. He's going to be the hero of this. So, yeah, in short, the GSA has acknowledged, and yes, this is going to be the Biden presidency coming up for the next 4 years, which is not the worst thing in the world. The Harris presidency sitting behind him is probably the worst thing in the world, but, I mean, we do have people like, where is it? Niro says, be afraid, be very afraid. We'll talk about that one here in just a bit here. And a bunch of other people that are up there getting ready to impose their will. I look at this now, first and foremost, we're still going through the legal process. There are still legal challenges to this, and even the FBI is looking into shit in Georgia at this point. We'll talk a bit about that later on in the show, but right now, what I'm looking at here, going through all this before the legal process gets done, before any of this finishes off, is the fact that my generation, millennials, got together and threw a collective temper tantrum and says, we want democratic socialism. Give us democratic socialism or we'll hold our breath. And the government caved. Big fucking daddy government caved. I don't think this is above board. And I feel like in the next 10 years, we're going to figure out that this was actually cheated through. Somewhere, if not before that. But once the mask comes off of all the government agencies, if they don't change that law somewhere in this, we're going to figure out that this was probably one of the shadiest elections out there. And Trump, he's going to fucking prison. The SDNY is sitting there licking their fucking chops to make sure that nobody else from the outside ever runs for the presidency again. And now they know that this is what they have to do. If they want, this is what they want. They throw a big enough tantrum, get people to, even if the will of the people is strong, they throw a big enough tantrum. And we see the other side of it too. They're getting ready to throw a big tantrum out of this. So there's a bunch of stupid crap going on here. I don't buy a word of this. But I also sit back and realize that at some point this is going to be the safest thing for the country as well. And I think Trump knows that too. Because what we saw over the summer for St. George, if Biden didn't win this election, or if this got overturned in SCOTUS, we're going to see even worse. So some of this may be a saving of the American people and a saving of the American infrastructure. But either way, we saw a gigantic temper tantrum. And now Big Daddy government is coalescing. Let's keep going. From the Daily Wire, Rush Limbaugh on Trump's legal team. They promised blockbuster stuff and then nothing happened. From Ryan Saavedra. Conservative radio icon Rush Limbaugh called out the unproven bombshell claims that were made by members of President Trump's legal team last week, saying they did not back up their blockbuster claims. Limbaugh started off by addressing the recent announcement by Trump's legal team in which they distanced themselves from attorney Sidney Powell. It's a tough thing to deny she was ever a part of it because they introduced her as part of it, Limbaugh said. She was at the press conference last week. We talked about that yesterday morning on Contemporary and last night on the RedNet show as well. Because, yeah, she was. I have questions about that. Limbaugh then moved on to addressing the substance of the press conference, saying, you call a gigantic press conference like that, one that lasts an hour, and you announce massive bombshells. Then you better have bombshells. There better be something at that press conference other than what we got. Well, I was listening to Steven's show yesterday, and he was going over the press conference, and he was pointing out the fact that there was quite the bombshell in the background going on during that press conference. But probably not the one that Limbaugh's looking for. But you don't. You can't. I talked to so many people who were blown away by it, by the very nature of the press conference, Limbaugh continued. They promised blockbuster stuff, and then nothing happened. And that's not, well, it's not good, folks. If you're going to promise blockbuster stuff like that, then there has. Now, I understand, Limbaugh added. Look, I'm the one that's been telling everybody that this stuff doesn't happen at warp speed, light speed, the way cases are made for presentation in court. But if you're going to do a press conference like that, with the promise of blockbusters, then there has to be something more than what the press conference delivered. Fox News host Tucker Carlson also called out aspects of the press conference last week, saying that the only thing that matters is the truth because it's our best defense. Powell continued to make serious and unproven allegations following the press conference, including the following statements that she made during an interview on Newsmax TV over the weekend. So, and Limbaugh's right. I didn't know what it was that they had. The shuttle driver that I work with every day was convinced that because Sidney Powell and Giuliani were so out there and adamant about that their careers are so big and so powerful, that they definitely had things. And Sidney Powell is a good attorney. She was the one that turned around and forced the FBI to admit the fact that they railroaded Flynn and got him put into prison for something that he never did. So it's not like Powell is just some crackpot conspiracy theory that's out there, but she got swept up too far into this. And like I say, if there's something, I want to see it. I said the same thing about the Rittenhouse case. If the persecutor in Kenosha has something, I want to see it. I don't want to see what the news media has filtered out to me, or what the conspiracy theorists, or Sidney Powell, or Rudy Giuliani. I don't want to see what they put out to the press conference. I want to see what's actually there and being presented to the courts. I want to see the documents, for lack of a better word. Show me the documents, as Stephen likes to say, quoting Alex Jones. Show me the documents. I want to see what's out there. And I want to see some of these constitutional systems get tested. It's time to test some of this shit. But so many people out there are so willing and ready to jump down and just accept everything that's presented to them without question. And you should never accept anything that's presented to you without question. I have questions. And there's so much shady shit that went on with this particular election that I don't know if we'll ever know who actually won and what would have happened under a fair election. And you have to sit back and wonder if we're to a point of one-party rule, because now that they know they can do it out in the open and get away with it, does that mean that they're going to continue to do so? So there's a lot of questions to have and a lot of stuff to look for at this. Let's keep going. From the New York Post, Biden climate envoy John Kerry is a lifelong joke. John Kerry. This is from the Post editorial board, so this is an op-ed. What was Joe Biden thinking for his choice of climate change ambassador extraordinaire? John Kerry is one of the biggest gas bags in American politics. Okay, never mind. I thought this was going to be an op-ed, but they've just given me facts so far. Single-handedly responsible for massive amounts of terrible emissions. People have been laughing at him since Yale, when Doonesbury creator Gary Trudeau was singing his pretentious, vacuous self-promotion. We look forward to the anti-carbon lectures from a guy who travels the globe on a private jets and luxury yachts. Set aside his deer-in-the-headlights loss as Democrats' presidential nominee in 2004, he was a joke as a Secretary of State under President Barack Obama, off on his yacht during Egypt's 2013 military coup. He vowed crushing response when Syria crossed Obama's infamous red line, only to have Obama pull the rug out from under him and agree to let Russia pretend to take Syria's chemical weapons away instead. Kerry has also cluelessly negotiated the Iran nuclear deal, even as the real talks were being run out of the White House. Then he had to pretend to cheer an accord that gave away several points he had said were non-negotiable, such as truly tough inspection requirements. He helped craft the 2015 Paris Climate Accord, a performative, non-binding triumph. The Kerry initiated Israeli-Palestinian peace talks of 2013-2014 went absolutely nowhere. He later blasted President Trump over moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem because nobody else can run on that anymore, insisting it would cause an absolute explosion because nobody else can run on that and promise that anymore, when it actually helped bring unprecedented Arab-Israeli rapprochement. And nobody else can make an empty, vacuous promise and run on it anymore. So, with that in mind, John Kerry is going to be the climate czar if this goes through the way that they keep saying that it is. So, that was a fun op-ed to go through. I didn't realize, well, it was mostly facts, but they have it marked as an op-ed. From CNN, Michigan certifies Biden's win as Trump challenges in other key states fizzle. From Annie Grayer, Jeremy Herb, and Shandelis Duster. 3 people who are probably beating off over the fact that Joe Biden could be the president. The Michigan State Board of Canvassers voted Monday to certify the state's election results, granting President-elect Joe Biden the state's 16 electoral votes, and all but erasing any pathway for President Trump to overturn the election results through legal challenges that have been dismissed in key states. One of the 2 Republican members of the Michigan State Canvassing Board, Aaron Van Langveld, joined the 2 Democrats to vote to certify the election results after it was unclear how you would vote prior to the meeting. The question of certifying Michigan's election results moved center stage amid the Trump campaign's dubious claim of voter fraud and efforts. Dubious. You don't have the authority to make that claim, CNN. In order to delay certification and overturn election results in several key states that voted for Biden. The state's highly anticipated certification was the latest in a series of episodes over the past week that have reinforced Biden's victory, even as Trump has refused to concede. The president instead spread wide false conspiracy theories. Jesus Christ, this is not an op-ed either. It's not marked as one. But they're treating it like it's an op-ed about the election and invited Michigan State GOP lawmakers to the White House, while his allies and legal advisors suggested the legislature should overturn the popular vote result, something they do not have the power to do. I want to set one thing on the fucking record straight here. I have been hard on President Trump throughout the beginning of my solo video. Well, not so much from the beginning, because I used to be a fucking neocon too, one of those shills. But pretty much from the time I started live streaming on, I was hard on President Trump. And I'm going to be hard on Biden, provided that they give me the information to do so. And if CNN would go equally into Biden as hard as they went into Trump, I would be applauding them for this level of fucking theatrical op-ed writing. But we already know, because they've already been doing some of this bullshit. The stories that they're going to come out about Biden are going to be, well, it's Biden's dogs. Look how nice he is with these dogs. Look at what he's doing here. Look at this watercolor that Joe Biden does when he's not on duty. Oh, nothing to see here. Oh, those bombs? No, those were bombs to help advance the U.S. agenda. Hey, no, don't worry about the fact that we're putting more troops over in Afghanistan. Hey, look at the dogs. That's what this is going to be for the next 4 years if he comes into the presidency. Once again, if they were actually as hard on Biden as they were on Trump, I would be applauding this kind of theatrics. But we all know here that they're not going to be. And then, of course, if President Harris gets in, God fucking forbid, they definitely won't be going hard into her, because they'll probably all wind up in prison if they do. So it's going to be, if this goes through, it's going to be an interesting 4 years. Let's keep going. From The Blaze, Trump-hating actor Robert De Niro, President Trump supporters should be afraid of what's going to happen when he's out of office. From Dave Urbanski, actor Robert De Niro said supporters of President Trump have a lot to worry about once he leaves office. Come on, you mafia-pretending fucking prick. As long as you stay over there, you have nothing to worry about yourself. But the second you cross the threshold, you're mine. And predict that some will have the gall to try and crawl back. De Niro is about as far away from a fan of Trump as one can get. Last December, he said he wanted to see the president confronted and humiliated in public, specifically wanting to witness a bag of shit hit him in the face. De Niro also told TV host Stephen Colbert last November that America under Trump is like living in an abusive household. And during a Friday appearance on The View, De Niro fielded a number of questions from the co-hosts, and fellow Trump hater Ana Navarro began by asking Bob if anyone will be able to convince the president to concede the election to Democrat presidential nominee Joe Biden, and also, why are so many Republicans still kissing the ring, among other things? Yeah, they're not, because they know that they can finally get their fucking Raytheon kickbacks again. I don't know that. What logic they're using, except that they're just afraid, De Niro replied. They should be afraid of what's going to happen later when he's not around. And they're going to try and crawl back. The ones that would have the gall to try and crawl back. It's going to be interesting to see. De Niro added that Trump is such a sham and bully who will go anywhere to give himself the advantage. He'll pardon himself, the actor said. He'll pardon everyone around him, who he can, who is going to be possibly prosecuted and or convicted, and then some. He added that if Trump were reelected, it would mean the end of this country, period, and I'm not being overdramatic. De Niro also said that Trump's base will discover how his behavior trickles down to them. De Niro has spent just a little bit of time disparaging Trump since his 2016 election. In 2018, he walked on stage at the Tony Awards, raised his fist, and declared, "I'm going to say one thing, fuck Trump. It's no longer down with Trump, it's fuck Trump." Many in the audience laughed and gave De Niro a standing ovation. The actor took to the stage at the closing night of his Tribeca Film Festival in April of 2018 and blasted Trump, as well as Republicans, with expletives. "I'm not so much concerned about Republicans believing Trump's bellowing bullshit about fake news. They're not that stupid, most of them, but they're pretty fucking stupid." De Niro also called Trump a scumbag during a 2018 interview about the festival. And a month prior to the 2016 presidential election, De Niro called Trump a punk. "He's a dog. He's a pig. He's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about." Robert, you know that you're not actually in the mafia, right? This is the bullshit that we're going to see. And one of the things that's been pointed out numerous times here, some of these people are going to have to get a new personality now that they can't build a new career off of, "We fucking hate Trump." And De Niro's going to be one of them here. The only reason that he is viable right now in American society and able to get work again, because he was all but retired before 2016, is that he did nothing but say, "I fucking hate Trump, alright? He's a fucking scumbag. He's a dirtbag." And everybody jumped up to try and give him a role because he was saying the things that they liked. De Niro had a great career before him. He was one of Hollywood's top actors. He went through, he decided that he wanted to retire, and then Trump came back up into the office, and now he's suddenly back in the spotlight again because he was broken. He was broken by Trump. Which is sad because he had an incredible body of work behind him. He is one of the greats. And now all he has is throwing his middle fingers up and shouting expletives about the president. Joe Walsh is another one too. He was a decent representative. Well, from what was he, Illinois 6? Somewhere in Chicagoland. He was a one-termer, but he was a decent representative. And he managed to make it as a Republican in one of the deepest blue areas of the country, and get into a seat like that. And then he ran for president against President Trump, and he lost by a massive margin. And then he just, like I said yesterday, it's like he's got the shrine that Helga had in Hey Arnold. It's like he's got the shrine, and that's all he does is think about, well, what's Trump going to do next? What can I say about Trump? What can I say about Trump? These people are going to need a new personality after the election, or after the inauguration, rather. The election's over. So, we will see what happens with that. Thank you, Niro, for that. Let's keep going. From Fox News, which is going to have to reload for whatever reason. And this is actually retransmitting via the New York Post. I didn't realize that, otherwise I would have taken it straight from the Post. FBI investigating threats against Georgia election officials amid voter fraud allegations, reports. The FBI is investigating threats being made against Georgia's top election officials amid allegations of voter fraud, according to reports. In a joint operation with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, agents are probing targeted threats made against Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and members of his team. Deputy Secretary of State Jordan Fox confirmed to Forbes without detailing the threats. How'd you like to go through school with that last name? And I'm sure Jordan's a good guy, but, I mean, you know how guys are. You know what they're going to see when they say something like that. But, on top of this here, I mean, if they're probing targeted threats that were made against Raffensperger, that would probably explain why he got to be such a fucking cuck to this whole thing. Where he just came out and said, no, we're just going to certify this. Don't look over here. Don't do any more recounts. Don't do any more audits. No, signature audit? No, fuck that. Because, just like the 2 canvassers in Wayne County, there were probably some threats that were made against his family, not just him. The GBI has information of possible threats. We are in the process of investigating any such statements directed at Georgia officials to determine their credibility, GBI said in a statement, according to local news anchor Rahul Bali. The confirmation came a day after the Peach State's voting system manager, Gabriel Sterling, complained of threats being made against him. So it's interesting to see what's coming out of this and whether or not this can actually be certified and hold up in court. We've only got a couple weeks left to figure this out and figure out if the Supreme Court is going to do so. But like I said at the top of the show, if they're going to throw a temper tantrum, threaten people, threaten livelihoods, and dox government officials and their family, imagine what they're going to do to you. And there's Niro right up there saying, Trump supporters should be very afraid. I'm going to take these people at their words. I'm not going to come out and say that this is just bullshit. If they're coming out and making threats, I'm going to take them at their words. Because they didn't get their way and they're throwing a fucking hissy fit. And now that they think that they got their way, they're calming down. I saw one woman tweet out today, well, I found out that Biden's going to be president and I almost had to cry. It's better than an orgasm. And of course, she had sometimes bipolar in her Twitter bio. So, yeah, it's... If this is how they're going to do, then we are going to see a one-party rule coming up somewhere in the very, very near future. And that's when things are going to start to get interesting. Let's keep going. Austin Peterson seems to be taking this well. Austin Peterson tweets an hour ago, impeachment now! That's it. That's the tweet. Well, he's taking this well. Let's keep going. From The Blaze, don't be a silent majority. A British author, Douglas Murray, issues urgent warning to Americans. Isn't that the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy dude? I think it is. From Blaze TV staff, one of the most shocking things British journalist, political commentator, and author of The Madness of Crowds, Douglas Murray witnessed during his recent stay in America was how many Americans are acting as if they live in 1930s Germany or behind the Iron Curtain, afraid to stand up and speak out because they're afraid of the consequences. Murray joined the Glenn Beck podcast. That's probably informative. I'm not a fan of Beck. Never have been. This week to explain why he believes the state of America is actually worse than we realize, and how the left's obsession with rewriting history has ushered in guilt, fear, and a silent majority. Oh, Ron corrected me over in the chat. It's Douglas Adams was the Hitchhiker's guy. Also a British author. I thought it was Murray for whatever reason. Thanks, Ron. Murray joined the. I'm going to read that paragraph again because I forgot where I left off. Murray joined the Glenn Beck podcast this week to explain why he believes the state of America is actually worse than we realize, and how the left's obsession with rewriting history has ushered in guilt, fear, and a silent majority. Murray said he's particularly fed up with those on the right who are afraid to voice their opinion because they don't want to become the target of leftist mobs on social media. Yeah, that's why I sit behind the microphone. I will be a voice for you guys if you guys are afraid to stand up. That's why I sit back and I make sure, even if I can't read it on the air all the time, because we're just trying to get through the headlines and get out of here for this show, I do go back and read all your chats. So if you've got grievances, get them out there, and I will put them out there on the record. I don't care if they cancel me or not. One thing about being a hard worker is that, especially in a time where millennials just don't want to do the work, is that I've come to a point where people will come back and try to keep me on staff no matter what. It will be very, very hard for me to go without a job for a long time at this point. Unless the market floods again and they can pay somebody cheaper. But I do have my name out there, and people have seen what I will do to make sure that I make a living. Do you think anyone in history who told the truth had an easy time? You've got the easiest time, and that opposition movement never did in history, Murray said. You cannot have these people in America living in a free society, which is, for the time being, free, pretending that they live under the circumstances of Jews in 1930s Germany. He added, Speak up, speak out, don't be a silent majority, be a very dominant, noisy majority, and don't put up with any oppression of the people, who are totally insincere. They want to make money, they want to win, nothing more. Call them out, and get back to what you should be doing as a nation. And yeah, that's what you should be doing. Speak up, speak out. They can't fire all of us, and they won't do a lot of the jobs that we'll do. Keep that in mind. They can't get us all fired, and they will not do the jobs that we do. Let's keep going. From Law and Crime. I wanted to point, because I found this last night while I was doing the Red Net show, and I'd not read this before, but apparently that Michigan AG that we talked about yesterday morning, who said that she wants to prosecute the GOP members of Congress because they cooperated with the evil orange man, got a real reality check off of this here. So from Colin Kalmbacher, lawyers tossed cold water on Michigan AG's potential criminal probe into GOP leaders who met with Trump. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel raised eyebrows on Saturday morning when it was reported that she was exploring whether to launch criminal inquiries into state GOP leaders who may be working with President Trump to block Michigan's certification of ballots cast in the 2020 presidential election. Legal experts, however, appear to be split on the potential upshot of any such criminal inquiry at this stage. According to the Washington Post, two anonymous sources said to be familiar with the review told the outlet that Nessel was specifically looking into whether those Republican Party elected officials risk committing crimes by successfully helping the 45th president in his efforts to deny the vote certification. The report clarifies some of the preliminary steps being taken. On Friday evening, Michigan Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey and Michigan House Speaker Lee Chatfield, along with State Senator Tom Barrett and State Rep Jason Wentworth. That meeting, announced to much fanfare and attention, was widely criticized before it occurred, but ultimately appeared to be a case of smoke without fire, a statement issued by the legislators after the facts appeared to dash hopes of overturning the results in their state. So, yeah, the lawyers came down, looked at the AG, and said, yeah, you can't do that. That's tyranny. People can have a meeting with whatever they want, and Trump hasn't conceded. The election hasn't been certified, so if they want to go out and challenge it, that's their legal right. And you going to prosecute them is what they did in 30s Germany. You fucking twit. I have to imagine that's about what that conversation went like. So that's interesting. And she's still trying to do it, by the way. All right, let's keep going. From the Daily Wire. I said from the Daily Wire. There we go. PayPal link below. Even $5 helps out. Build that new computer. We'll see what happens off that. Every little bit helps. From the Daily Wire, Devin Nunes calls for special counsel to take over probe of Russia investigation over growing concern that Biden may shut it down. From Tim Pierce. Representative Nunes said that AG Barr should appoint a special counsel to investigate the origins of the Russia collusion conspiracy to protect an ongoing probe from a potential Biden administration. Nunes, the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, appeared on Fox News Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo on Sunday to discuss growing concerns that a Democratic presidential nominee would significantly limit or shut down an ongoing investigation into the origins of Russia collusion allegations. Barr appointed U.S. Attorney John Durham to investigate the investigators of the allegations that dogged President Trump for years into his presidency, and I wouldn't worry about this normally except for the fact that Kamala Harris, before she got named, I believe, if I remember correctly, said that she wants an investigation into the Durham investigation. Which, as we remember at the time, the Durham investigation is an investigation into the Mueller probe. The Mueller probe is an investigation into Russia collusion. So that is where it starts. So then Mueller investigated. Now Durham is investigating Mueller, which is an investigation of an investigation. And now Harris wants to have an investigation into Durham, which would be an investigation into an investigation into an investigation. And my only demand is that I want an investigation into the investigation that Kamala Harris called for, because I want to get on air at some point and say, guess what? This is how we're spending our money in this country. We have an investigation into an investigation into an investigation into an investigation. It's investigationception fucking here, people. And we wonder why we're $28 trillion in debt. Well, you might as well just put that up to $56 trillion because, yeah, Biden likes to spend money that he doesn't have. Let's keep going. From The Blaze, Sidney Powell responds after Trump campaign says she is not a part of the legal team. Hashtag Kraken on steroids. Sidney Powell is practicing law on her own. From Chris Enlow. Sidney Powell, the headline-grabbing attorney who was seemingly a part of President Trump's legal team, responded late Sunday to the Trump campaign statement that she was in fact never a member of the campaign's legal team. In a shock move, late Sunday, the Trump campaign senior legal advisor Jenna Ellis and Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, released a statement that said, Sidney Powell is practicing law on her own. She's not a member of the legal team. She's also not a lawyer for the president in his personal capacity. This is nothing but federal apprentice bullshit right here. All of this that you're seeing here is surprise twist at the end for ratings, as we're going into either the season finale or the series finale. I don't even need to go further into this. This is straight up theater. Shakespearean, in fact. Let's keep going. From the New York Post, blonde Melania Trump celebrates arrival of White House Christmas tree. From Stephen Nelson. Why do we care what color her hair is? I don't understand. A newly blonde First Lady Melania Trump on Monday celebrated the arrival of the annual White House Christmas tree. The First Lady emerged alone from the north portico of the White House around noon to accept the 18.5-foot Fraser fir from a tree farm in West Virginia. Was it raised by a mountain mama? Merry Christmas, she told reporters, ignoring a shouted question about how the president is doing. Her hair had a fresh look with newly blonde highlights following her recovery last month from COVID-19. Two large Clydesdale horses transported the tree down the White House's northern driveway as a military band played O Tannenbaum and Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Tree farm owners Dan and Ann Taylor attended the event. So they've got the Christmas tree. And of course, I saw the same article on CNN and I almost pulled it up, but they were doing their op-ed bullshit again. Well, Melania Trump accepted the Christmas tree for the last time. Fuck these people. Let's keep going. From Politico. Dianne Feinstein to step down as top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary panel. The 87-year-old was criticized for not being aggressive enough in Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation hearing. She's 87 years old. Retire. Spend time with your family. They love you. They miss you. Stop making arbitrary laws that stifle business and the economy. Go spend time with your family. Let one of these other idiot upstarts over in your state represent the Senate. This is from Marianne Levine and Burgess Everett. Senator Dianne Feinstein plans to step down as the top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee in the next Congress, after facing blowback from progressives for her handling of Amy Coney Barrett's contentious Supreme Court confirmation hearing. It wasn't contentious. They just made a bunch of fucking theater over it because, oh my God, he got 3 Supreme Court picks. What are we ever gonna do? I might have to be responsible. 3 people familiar with the matter told Politico, which Feinstein soon confirmed. After serving as the lead Democrat on the Judiciary Committee for 4 years, I will not seek the chairmanship or ranking member position for the next Congress, the California Democrat said in a statement. I look forward to continuing to serve as senior Democrat on the Judiciary, Intelligence, Appropriations, and Rules Committees as we work with the Biden administration. Feinstein added that she planned to focus her attention on combating climate change and the coronavirus pandemic. Yeah, she hugged Lindsey Graham, and she wasn't hard enough on Republicans. This is your politics right now. And here we go back to that one-party rule I keep talking about. It's coming. You may think that I'm tinfoiling it up here, but it's coming. Look at the evidence in front of you and tell me I'm wrong. Let's keep going. Rand Paul says there won't be an investigation into who is funding protesters to attack him and his wife after the president's speech. From Carlos Garcia. Senator Rand Paul said there would be no investigation into who might have funded the protesters who attacked him and his wife in August after they left the president's closing speech at the Republican National Convention. Paul tweeted that he was informed by the U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C. that the decision to not pursue the investigation. Let's have a listen. No, don't take me to Twitter, you jerk. So inconsistent.
Normal. There's something going on here that, but this also isn't normal. There's something going on here. This is like the FBI needs to be involved.
What do you
mean
something's going on? Senator, what do you mean something's going on? You've got a feeling. Tell us what you think.
My feeling is that there is interstate criminal traffic being paid for across state lines, but you won't know it unless you arrest them. Otherwise, you just think, oh, these are some normal hoodlums from a big city. I promise you that at least some of the members and the people who attacked us were not from D.C. They flew here on a plane. They've all got fresh new clothes, and they were paid to be here. It is a crime to do that, and it needs to be traced. The FBI needs to investigate, but the only way you can do it is you have to arrest people. And usually we say, oh, well, you didn't get hurt, so we're not going to arrest them. They were inciting a riot, and they would have killed us had the police not been there. They all need to be arrested, and I'm not saying forever, but they need to be arrested, questioned. They need to say, where are you staying? And the bills need to be subpoenaed by a judge to say, who paid for your bill? How did you get here on a plane and staying in a fancy hotel, and yet you're acting like a criminal?
Yeah, this is a little bit surprising coming from Rand, but, once it's him and his family on the line, I can see how that does change a person, too. I mean, he is supposed to be the libertarian dream boy, and getting the federal government involved in something like this does seem like that would be outside the purview of that, but On the other side of it, they went after his family, dude. All bets are off at that point. The D.C. U.S. Attorney today confirmed to me that they will not pursue an investigation of who is funding the thugs who attacked my wife and me and sent a D.C. police officer to the hospital, Paul tweeted. So, yeah, I'm kind of not surprised. I know that they're coming out and, the conspiracy theorists out there are coming out here and laughing at the fact that people say that Soros is funding any of these people and how they're not getting their protest checks and how they feel that if they're protest checks, they need to get them. But something's going on with this. Now, mind you, it doesn't cost a lot of money to drive from one place to another. I can tell you that. I drove from here to D.C. on one and then just a little bit more tank of fuel. Back when gas was at like $1.01 a gallon or whatever the hell it was. I think it was 99 cents in some places when we were going down to Florida. But yeah, back when it was hovering around the dollar mark, that's $30 per stop. So traveling is, it's not that expensive, but still, you've got the car, you've got the time off work, and like he said, the new clothes. So I don't know if somebody's funding these people or if they do just want to be there and be the ones that are on the news and make their voices heard. But if there is something involved with this, then yeah, we do need to figure out what's going on with it. Let's keep going. So this article was deleted. But thanks to Archive Today, I was able to recover one from before they deleted it. I went to go pull this up because I believe I had it in the Discord to put up for the day. And it said, page not found, this article's been deleted. But always look through archive.today and archive everything. Because now we can go back and we can actually look at this after it's been deleted. From CBS 2 out of Pittsburgh, COVID-19 in Pennsylvania models showing 22,000 cases per day. By December, stay-at-home advisory issued. From KDKA TV News staff, the Wolf administration on Monday announced new coronavirus mitigation efforts as modeling projects projects 22,000 daily coronavirus cases in the state come December. Governor Tom Wolf pointed to a modeling projection Pennsylvania will run out of ICU beds in December if no action is taken. The Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation is projecting 22,000 new coronavirus cases per day in the state and more than 32,000 deaths by February 23rd. That death toll, the governor's office says, could be cut in half with universal mask wearing. Citation, please. Health Secretary Dr. Rachel Levine said among the new mitigation measures are targeted projections for businesses and gatherings, an advisory for Pennsylvanians to stay at home, and enforcements on public health orders like the recently strengthened mask mandate. And this was the interesting one. This was the one to actually pay attention to and see what's going on with this. On Wednesday, November 25th, restaurants and bars are ordered to suspend alcohol sales at 5 p.m. until 8 a.m. on Thursday, November 26th. That is the night before Thanksgiving. So, basically, and this was misconstrued from the beginning, because the people who tweeted this out pointed out that, they're shutting down alcohol right before Thanksgiving. So you can't go out and buy your alcohol for Thanksgiving. They're trying to lock you in your homes and make sure you don't go out with your family. It's actually not the case. What they're trying to do right now is prevent the Blackout Wednesday tradition, where all the college kids come home for the first time, possibly the second time since college started. They're all home at the same time, and they all go out and get shit-faced drunk, make out, and fuck each other on the night before Thanksgiving. That's what this is trying to be. But even still, where's the government to come down and tell people what they can and cannot sell? I keep looking at this and I keep saying this can't be all about some sort of virus. This has got to be more about control. So, thank you to Archive Today and whoever archived this, that I was able to come back and get a recent copy of this one. And we could go back and look at it again. Let's keep going. From Philly Voice. Pennsylvania bans alcohol sales at restaurants, bars on Thanksgiving Eve. From Michael Tannenbaum. With coronavirus cases surging in Pennsylvania ahead of Thanksgiving, restaurants in the state will be prohibited from selling alcohol on Wednesday evening, the night known as Thanksgiving Eve. No, it's called Blackout Wednesday, the busiest drinking night of the year. Restaurants and bars in Pennsylvania will not be permitted to sell beer, wine, and liquor on premises from 5 p.m. Wednesday until 8 a.m. Thursday. Governor Tom Wolf and Secretary of Health Dr. Rachel Levine announced the new restrictions on Monday amid a slew of new COVID-19 mitigation efforts that address everything from education and telework to mask requirements and occupancy limits. I think you all know the Commonwealth is a precarious place right now, Wolf said at Monday's press conference. We have gotten into a place where we have more cases now than we ever have had. The governor cited models showing the healthcare system would crack under the strain of COVID-19 by the end of the year unless more aggressive safety measures are implemented. Once again, and I said this last night, if the first lockdown worked, why do we need a second lockdown? And if the first lockdown worked, or didn't work rather, if the first lockdown didn't work, why would we ever want to do a second lockdown? This is going to spread no matter what it is that you do. And keeping people in sanitized environments is just going to make sure that they don't get exposed to anything else that their immune system could possibly pick up. So, that's what they're seeing up off of this. No Blackout Wednesday for you this year. You didn't give that overwhelming landslide to Biden. Let's keep going. From Fox News, Oregon governor tells residents to call cops on people violating COVID-19 restrictions. From Frank Miles. And you wonder why we think we're in 1930s Germany. Hey, is that Anne Frank in your attic? Here, let me call the secret police. As the nation cracks down on group activities so close to the Thanksgiving holiday, Governor Kate Brown, a Democrat, has told Oregon's residents to call the cops if they see coronavirus violations. This is no different than what happens if there's a party down the street and it's keeping everyone awake. Brown said in an interview on Friday, "What do neighbors do in that case? They call law enforcement because it's too noisy. This is just like that. It's like a violation of a noise ordinance." Yes, this is actually happening. The governor ordered a 2-week freeze that includes limiting indoor and outdoor gatherings to no more than 6 people from no more than 2 households in an effort to curb the spread of coronavirus. Okay. You can't do that. That's against the law. That's against the Constitution. And I'm pretty sure that if I opened up the Oregon State Constitution, that would be against that too. I've never read the Oregon State Constitution. I can't attest to whether or not that's against the Oregon State Constitution. Not only that, I know families where they have 13 kids. Not so much in this generation anymore, but I do know families that have 13 kids out there. What do they do? Do they just come out and say, "Oh, well, you're my least favorite kid number 5. We can't let you be in the gathering here. We can't let you be in the house"? No. You don't get to tell people what they do in their private homes. That is not your home, no matter how much tax revenue you take up off of this. Violators could face up to 30 days in jail. So we take them out of their home and put them into jail with a bunch of other people who might be exposed to COVID-19, up to $1,250 in fines, or both, the Oregonian reported. Brown said she would work with state police and local law enforcement to encourage Oregonians to comply with their mandate. So if people want to go in Oregon to have Thanksgiving with their family, they got to be Anne Franked up in their fucking attic where nobody can see them. This is what's going on right now. This is what's happening. All right, I got just a couple more here, then we'll do Twitter trending and get the hell out of here. From the Blaze, Republican Maryland governor says no one has a constitutional right to walk around without a mask. That's wrong. From Carlos Garcia, Republican Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, Republican, said during a media briefing about the coronavirus that no one has the constitutional right to walk around without a mask. The dubious claim was made by Hogan while he announced further coronavirus pandemic restrictions on Monday. It's sort of saying like I have a constitutional right to drive drunk. You kind of do. I have a constitutional right to not wear a seatbelt. You do. Or to yell fire in a crowded theater. You do. Or to not follow the speed limit. We see where this is going. We're talking about 250,000 people dying already. More than, the Korean War, the Gulf War, and the Vietnam War added together. Citation needed, please. Which part don't you understand? He asked rhetorically. There's no constitutional right to walk around without a mask, he added. We did it in 1918. I don't know why we can't do it now. Wear the mask. No, you don't have the constitutional right to tell me what article of clothing I can and cannot wear. Let's have a listen.
Well, it's sort of like saying I have a constitutional right to drive drunk. I have a constitutional right to not wear a seatbelt, or to yell fire in a crowded movie theater, or to not follow the speed limit. We're talking about 250,000 people dying already. More than the Korean War, the Gulf War, and the Vietnam War added together. Which part don't you understand? You wear the mask. There's no constitutional right to walk around without a mask. We did it in 1918. I don't know why we can't do it now. Well,
you don't get to tell me that. You are the government. We are the people. So, yeah, there's that. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? From Maryland, Hogan announced additional coronavirus enforcement measures. Larry Hogan announced additional statewide enforcement measures to fight the COVID-19 surge. The governor announced a new statewide enforcement efforts that, in addition to traditional efforts ramping up drunken driving patrols ahead of Thanksgiving, the state is launching an all-hands-on-deck compliance education, re-education, and enforcement operation to involve the Maryland State Police. Oh boy, this is getting intense. It's a very serious problem, and we're going to keep messaging everyone to take it seriously. The more seriously we take it, the faster we're going to get it under control, Hogan said during a news conference on Monday afternoon. The situation is dire. Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski, I'm guessing. We will continue to use the full authority granted to us by Governor Hogan's executive orders by our county charter to protect our residents. Yeah, those are words you never want to see together. We're going to continue to use the full authority granted to us by an executive order. And there's the number, if you want to call the police on your neighbors. I might have to call the police on Governor Hogan for unlawful behavior. Marylanders who see unlawful behavior are encouraged to report it by calling 833-979-2266. I recommend that you do not call this number and leave profanities. I also recommend that you do not send an email to prevent.covid@maryland.gov with a picture of your junk. I highly recommend that you do not do that. And I disavow anybody who does that. I definitely don't want you to call this 833 number and tell them that Governor Hogan is acting unlawfully outside the purview of the Constitution. I definitely don't want you to do that. I definitely don't want you to do anything like that or leave profanity-laced messages to that or bogus calls. I definitely don't want you to do anything like that. And definitely 100% do not send a picture of your junk to this email address here. Definitely don't do that. All right, so that's what Hogan is doing here. All right, the last one that we have here before we go back over and do Twitter trending. New York business owners demand warrant when health inspector barges inside over COVID-19 restriction. From Bradford Betts. A group of New Yorker business owners on Friday could be seen having a tense confrontation with sheriff's deputies and a county health inspector over Governor Andrew Cuomo's coronavirus restrictions in a viral video that made the rounds online over the weekend. The video shared on a blog post by Tim Walton shows Erie County Sheriff's deputies and county health official visiting the Athletes Unleashed, a private gym in Orchard Park where more than 100 Buffalo area businesses were gathered. Graphic language warning. Yeah, we're listening to that.
Property, you need to leave.
We're asking to appeal to your compassionate side. I know you're a taxpayer. You know, our tax dollars guarantee your guys' paychecks. But some of these people actually work for their money, and they don't want to lose their livelihood. I've lost friends, I've lost family who've killed themselves. I've seen clients die because they've lost their livelihood.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I know you are, and I'm asking for you to guys have some compassion for the people that have lost everything.
We do have compassion for people who
Okay,
have
well,
lost
you need to go
everything.
have compassion out in the parking lot.
But-
This is private property.
This is
private property. This is private property. It's private property.
I
Go
didn't
get a
argue
warrant.
that.
Listen, man, this is private property. They're not wanted here. So do your jobs.
Well, her job is.
Well, no, your
you
job
have
is
a
to remove people that are not wanted here.
You have a permit
We're
from the
wanted
health
here.
department.
They're not.
Do you have
She's
a health
hiding her
department
name
permit?
tag. She had her
I'm
name
not.
tag.
It's
There
right
you
here.
go.
It's marked
There
here.
we
You
go.
can see my name
They're just
tag.
doing their job.
There we go.
You should all be wearing masks. How come
I'm not
none of you
doing
have
anything
masks
wrong.
on?
Don't worry about my health. My health isn't your
You're
concern.
meant to be wearing a mask. It's a government.
Okay, well,
mandate.
then write me up.
It's the law.
Okay, then take me to jail.
It's not the law.
Then take me to jail.
Show me the law. Show me the law. Show me the law. Well, I think we gotta go, John.
You have to leave. You guys have to leave.
You guys need to leave.
have to leave.
Right now, you're trespassing without a warrant. You need
Mass
to
civil
leave. You
disobedience
need to
starts
leave.
now.
You're trespassing.
We're not
Were you
trespassing.
You're
invited onto the
trespassing.
property?
Doesn't matter.
Then
We
you're
have a right to
trespassing.
be
It doesn't
here.
Then
matter.
get a warrant. Go get a warrant.
You
Bring
need
a warrant.
Go get a warrant.
You're trespassing.
Yes, you do.
Come back with a warrant or leave.
You don't write the law. The laws are written.
with no warrant?
Go get a warrant. You guys are breaking the law right now. You're breaking the law. Go outside. No, go on your
They've
phone
been asked to
outside.
leave several
Go on your phone
occasions.
outside.
I would really like it if you
Where
would
did
stop
you hear the
shouting at me.
report
I haven't
from?
done
Okay, we
anything
would
wrong.
like if you didn't break the law. We would like if you didn't
Where?
break the law.
Who reported
So
it?
leave.
Who reported it? Who reported it?
You know what? I don't know.
Yeah,
Because
it's anonymous, right? It's
Yes, it
anonymous.
is.
They
But it's a
can't be
legitimate
anonymous.
complaint.
You need to
It
know
can
your
be,
accuser. You need to
that's
know. It
not-
cannot
Okay,
be
wait,
anonymous.
you gotta go get a warrant.
It
That's
cannot
not
be
how
anonymous.
health
It
department
cannot be
You
anonymous.
gotta go get a warrant.
You don't get the
You gotta go
right
get
to
a warrant.
policies. You
It's
don't get to
code
violate the
enforcement.
Constitution. It
This
does
isn't
not
the
matter.
same
You
as
don't
that.
circumvent or subvert the Constitution.
Call the news.
That's the way it
News here
works.
too.
Get the news.
Call the news.
Okay, miss, you need to leave.
Get out! 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 Get out!
No, now they gotta get off the property. We don't want them off the fucking property.
Dude, just because it's a Black Lives Matter
You guys are
protest,
off the
turn your
property.
head.
You're not welcome here.
This is a Black Lives Matter
You guys
protest.
gotta
Turn
go
your
on the
head.
road.
There you go. This
You
is
gotta
a
go
Black
to the
Lives
road.
Matter protest.
We will not comply. We will not comply. We will not comply. We will not comply.
This is
We
a
will not
protest.
comply.
This is a protest,
We will
guys.
not comply.
We do not
We
have to
will not
disband.
comply.
It is a protest.
We will not
This is
comply.
a lawful
We will not
protest.
comply.
All right, I can't go any more into this one here because we're running up on time. But yeah, that's what they're doing there, and it's good. I mean, the St. George rioters can sit and occupy the streets for 7 months straight. But because these guys aren't burning shit down, they've got to be hassled and harassed by the local police that are violating the Constitution, by the way. They were correct on that. Come back with a warrant if you want to come in. If the police are at your door, that's the first thing you tell them. Come back with a warrant. If they don't have a warrant, get them off your property. So good on them. And once again, I do want to remind everybody that you definitely should not be leaving a profanity-laced message at 833-979-2266. You should not leave a bogus call or a profanity-laced message with that. Or you should not be mailing any dirty, profane pictures or messages to prevent.covid@maryland.gov. You should not be doing that. All right, and that's going to be it for the news for the day. We are going to do Twitter trending today because it's Tuesday, so we're up on the Explore page here. Let's go over to the trending tab and see what is trending on Twitter for the day after it reloads, because that's what it does apparently. And don't forget, do not send a picture of your junk to prevent.covid@maryland.gov. Do not. All right, on trending for the day here. Politics trending number 1. No, this is for me. I don't want that. I want the actual trending here. Number 1, Randy Quaid. Donald Trump tweets bizarre rants by ex-fugitive Randy Quaid, claiming a day of reckoning is nigh. Kyle Griffin is outraged by this. Okay, so apparently Randy Quaid is no longer one of their Hollywood insiders. That's good to know. I thought he was an alright guy. And of course, they're making the list because this isn't Nazi Germany or anything. They're making lists. Alright, what's the next one here? Folklore on Disney Plus. It's 11:24, and 24 minus 11 is 13, so I've got an announcement that you haven't seen this film before, Folklore. Apparently Taylor Swift put out a movie. I saw something about that on her Instagram this morning too, but I don't know anything about it. But apparently she's doing something on Disney Plus. Cousin Eddie, number 3. You know you've hit rock bottom when you strap yourself to Cousin Eddie. When you wake up and the president retweets 5 Cousin Eddie tweets. Okay, since I've only ever seen 5 movies in my life, you guys might have to help me out on what Cousin Eddie means, but I guess it has something to do with Randy Quaid. So let me know in the live chat, somebody. But I don't understand. We'll skip the Tuesday vibe. Let's see. Number 4 then for us will be Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton is in agreement on a 1-year, $15 million deal with the Atlanta Braves. And MLB put cardboard cutouts of Joaquin from the Parkland shootings up in their stands, so fuck the MLB. Until they issue a full apology for that, I have nothing to do with the MLB at this point. Which is why the Red Sox flag went away. And the last one, 79% of Trump. This is for 79% of Trump voters and their feelings. Yeah, fuck your feelings, Trump lost. Yeah, these people really want unity, don't they? So 79% of Trump voters think the election was rigged. Trump got 47% of the vote and 37% of all who voted. And 100% of progressives thought the election was rigged in 2016. Just keep that in mind. And 100%, 120% of Biden voters would have thought that the 2020 election was rigged if it had gone the other way. So I don't want to fucking hear it. I don't want to hear it from you guys. Joe Biden will come out and say unity, and then these people are going to go and run a victory lap like this. No, that's not what you do for unity. But that's what they're going to try and do. Yeah, they're profiling, they're putting you on a list at this point. So, yeah, this is what I want to hear for unity. All right. Yeah, 79% of Trump voters think Hitler was a nice guy. Fuck these people. Fuck these people. All right, but that's going to be it for the news and for the Twitter trending for the day here. We are going to head on out of here for the day. Hope you guys have a great day at work. I think Steven is streaming right now. I think he went early today, so I'll probably head over there and go converse with him. He said he was going from 9 to 12 today, so we'll see what's going on over there. Otherwise, I will be back here tomorrow for more news, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more going on with that for Contemporary. There's not going to be any game stream this week, and we will have a Thanksgiving Day stream, one way or another. There will be Thanksgiving Day streaming going on in this house. So we will see what happens with that. We will see you tomorrow, hopefully. But if we can't see you tomorrow, we'll see you some other time in the future, hopefully, as well. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.